Hey there, everybody. My name is Keno, and welcome back to your New York Rangers NHL 20 Franchise Mode series here on the channel. Now, in between episodes, as I usually do with episode 0, I make a few little tweaks to roster editing or rosters around the league. I didn't do many. I think I only edited like 8, maybe 9 or 10 players. Not mostly Rangers, actually. I only edited 3 Rangers. But I did make some changes around the league, mostly to players like Andrei Vasilevsky, Connor Hellebuck, Mackenzie Weegar, Devon Taves, Adam Pelech. That's pretty much all I did. A few forwards, but that's about it. Let's take a look at the changes I made to our New York Rangers roster. So when it comes to our roster, I only made a few tweaks to 2 forwards, and that's Jesper Fast and Pavel Buchnevich. For Buchnevich, he's still an 82. The only thing I changed was making him a little more offensive with a bit of a better shot, because I don't think he was able to fully come into his own in his time with New York Rangers. And then Jesper Fast, I just gave him a little bit of a boost. Not really offensively. I think maybe 1 overall point to offensive awareness, puck control, and passing, but mostly to his defensive category, because he is a bit of a good defensive player. So I wanted to show that. But again, he's not really going to be a big piece for us when it comes to scoring points. I don't think so. And I didn't want to give any players exorbitant jumps. So I think the only person who went up in overall from the changes I made to the Rangers is Fast, going from an 80 to an 81. Buchnevich stayed an 82. And then defensively, the biggest downgrade was Tony DeAngelo. I had him as a very defensive player before. He is not. I could have kept it that way, but it felt a little wrong to me. We've lost a bit of trade value with DeAngelo, but not too much. I mean, he's still very valuable, probably around 8th or 9th value on the team still, and I still plan to move on from him. So we're actually going to be jumping into that pretty much right away, because as I said earlier, this is until the King retires, until Hank retires. And with Lundqvist being 37 years old, and no, I didn't change his overall. I did change Georgiev's a bit, bumping up to an 83 because he was a pretty competent backup goalie. But yes, Hank, we only have 1 year possible with him. He could go to 2, that could be good, but again, as I said in the first video, he's got to be the starter. He can't just be the backup and run to the Stanley Cup as the backup. I mean, I still think he would be appreciative of winning a Stanley Cup, but is that really winning a Stanley Cup if you're in the backup seat? See, I thought about it a little more between videos, and it kind of dawned on me. Tuukka Rask won a Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins in 2011, but he didn't really play the games. He played in 2010 when they got knocked out in the conference finals by the Philadelphia Flyers, but he didn't really play at all throughout the regular season and the playoffs because Tim Thomas deserved the net. Tim Thomas was insane in the regular season and went on to go even more crazy in the playoffs. After Thomas left, Rask went back to the Stanley Cup Finals twice and lost both times. His only Stanley Cup ring is as a backup goalie, pretty much. And that, to me, I don't think he'd be happy with that. For me, equating that to the Henrik Lundqvist situation, I don't think Lundqvist would be happy winning a cup when he wasn't the starting goaltender. So that is the drive of it. Henrik Lundqvist has to start this season, and if he continues to next season, he has to start next season. But we have to win now, and that was the point that I was trying to make initially, so we have to make some moves, because this first year is absolutely crucial. Now, before we jump into the trades and the free agent signings themselves, I want to quickly address that there's a few roster areas that I want to target right off the bat, but I don't want to go overboard. I don't want to make a whole bunch of trades and send out every single person possible. I kind of want to make just 3 trades and a few free agent signings to try and get this team ready to go off the bat. If by the, let's say, the trade deadline, we're still not a contending team, or my original trades didn't work out the best and we still need to add some more, then we'll reevaluate there, and I'll ask for your guys' comments and suggestions. And also, make sure to leave your comments and suggestions as the video goes on to let me know what you think of line combinations or who we should be targeting. And also, before we jump into it, please leave a like. I know that sounds cliche and stupid, and you probably hear that in all the videos, but a like just helps me to drive interaction on the video and helps it to reach more audiences who might enjoy this content. So do it for me and do it for everyone else, as well as yourself. You know, have some fun. Hit a like button. Hit subscribe also if you're really liking it. But I'm not going to do any more shelling out. We're going to get to the contents of this video. So right off the bat, I've offered out 3 free agent contracts. One of them to top 6 defender Dion Phaneuf. And before you give me any hassle, you guys know I'm a Leaf fan. I always have been. It's by location, okay? I live near Toronto. I have to love the Leafs. I have to. But that's not why I'm bringing in Dion Phaneuf. In fact, it's actually a little bit of a scary thought to think that if he does sign with the team, he'll be our 4th highest overall defenseman on the team, behind Adam Fox, Jacob Trouba, and soon to be leaving Tony DeAngelo. So we have to keep that in mind. He might get into a fair amount of games this season, depending on how the trades go out. The other contract I offered out was to Adam McQuaid. I also gave him around 1 year at $875,000. That's what I gave Dion Phaneuf as well. So hopefully he can come in and also be a pretty decent defenseman for us. Again, just like Phaneuf, he would be our 4th highest overall defenseman. So that's a pretty low bar, honestly. It's kind of shocking, but hopefully we get him signed as well. And the final contract I offered out was to Thomas Plekanec, a 1-year league minimum deal, and that would just be like a pretty good 4th liner for us if he does slot into the lineup. I do plan to fill the 4th line center role anyways, but it's never going to hurt us to have depth, NHL caliber depth. But with the contracts offered out to the free agents, it now leaves us with the trading window. And as I stated just a few minutes ago, I do plan to only make 3 trades. I've already pre-scouted them. I already know what 3 players I want to bring onto the team. It's going to require major cap gymnastics because some of them are a little expensive, but I think that these are going to be good trades. Now, I also want to quickly state that I tried to keep these a little within the realm of possibility, or a little bit realistic, okay? I didn't want to take away from a team that didn't have a strength in that department, or if I didn't give up a player of not equal value, but you know what I mean, if I didn't replace the players that I'm kind of taking away, okay? I feel like I made some pretty fair-ish trades. I mean, they're always going to be EA Sports NHL-based trades, so they're never going to be fully within the realm of realism and possibility, but I think I made some pretty fair offers, and you will see very quickly. And again, before I jump into it, I want to quickly state that I am hoping throughout this entire season to hold on to players like Kaapo Kakko, Filip Chytil, K'Andre Miller, and Igor Shesterkin. Vitaly Kravtsov is on the trading block simply because, but when it comes to Kakko, Chytil, Miller, and Shesterkin, I want to keep them because, yes, we're trying to win in 1 year. We're trying to win it in year 1 with the King because we don't know if he'll make it to year 2. But if he does, Kaapo Kakko and Filip Chytil will be great assets for us. And yes, Vitaly Kravtsov would be as well, but I do already have him slated to go somewhere. So let's get through with these trades so you can see what the team's going to look like to start our first and possibly only year with this franchise mode series. Alright, and the first trade is the one seeing Vitaly Kravtsov out the door, and it's a bit of a big one, and it's a bit of a lopsided one, but it's for a reason. We're going to be sending Vitaly Kravtsov, defensive prospect Matthew Robertson, goaltending prospect Tyler Wall, plus a 3rd round pick in this year's draft and a 7th round pick in this year's draft to the Minnesota Wild for some pretty special good players, including the Kings' former best friend, Matt Zuccarello. Now, if you haven't followed the whole saga, when Zuccarello was traded away from the Rangers a few years ago to the Dallas Stars at the trade deadline, Henrik Lundqvist did not take it well. They were really very close friends, and it actually made Lundqvist tear up a bit at the press conference about the loss of his dear friend. So, what better way to get the morale up for the King than to bring back Zuccarello? I know he's only been gone for about a year or so, but this is one of the moves that I was really eager to make. I needed to make this one. We're also going to be adding in Ryan Hartman, who is a pretty versatile forward. He can play center, he can play right wing for us. He's got some pretty decent offensive awareness and some pretty good physical categories. I think he'll slot in pretty well anywhere in the lineup for us. As well as defenseman Nick Seeler, I think he'll be a good addition for us. Another one kind of like Adam McQuaid and Dion Phaneuf, but I'm hopeful of what he can do and what impact he can make in the lineup. We're also going to try to get a 2nd round pick in this year's draft and a 6th round pick in this year's draft from the Minnesota Wild. I think this is a pretty fair trade. I mean, I don't really want to move on from Kravtsov, but I really want to get some scoring power now, and I think this is the way to do it. So Kravtsov, Robertson, Wall, a 3rd round pick in this year's draft and a 7th round pick in this year's draft to the Minnesota Wild for Zuccarello, Hartman, Seeler, a 2nd and a 6th. Will this go through? It does. Okay, so we make a big splash right off the bat, but I am not done yet. I still have 2 more moves to make. Another thing I wanted to point out before we jump into the second trade is that I did have the Minnesota Wild retain $2.25 million of Matt Zuccarello's 5-year, $6 million a year deal. So we do have him for under $4 million for the next 5 years. We're not going to need him for that long, but that's why it cost us Vitaly Kravtsov plus. Okay, if we didn't have them retain that much, then it wouldn't have been expensive. But at the same time, if we didn't have to retain that much, we would have been a little more cap strapped, and we wouldn't be able to make moves either now or in the future if we have to bolster this team even more. But that does lead us to the second trade I'm looking to make, and again, it might seem like a little bit of an overpayment, but I think it's a fair one. It's Brendan Smith, Brett Howden, Libor Hayek, a 5th and a 7th round pick straight up for Adam Lowry and Andrew Copp. Now, I originally tried to get them to retain on Lowry as well, but the price was getting a little too high, and I don't want to use more second round picks if I don't have to. I think this is fair, and it'll also shore up our offensive woes, like our center problems. No more center problems, and I don't think we're going to have to acquire any other forwards with the next trades that we target. Maybe one more. I do have one more in mind, but I think this is fair. Brendan Smith, Brett Howden, Libor Hayek, a 5th and a 7th for Lowry and Copp straight up. Does this go through? It does. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, as it were, so Winnipeg gladly accepts this particular proposal of yours. Now, I'm going to quickly say that took me a long time and a lot of tries to get this trade done, and they just weren't willing to throw in anything, not even a 4th or a 5th. So for it to be that big of a win in their favor is a little shocking to me, but I'm happy with the move that we made there. But we're not done yet. We have one more trade to make, and it's probably one of the bigger ones. All right, and the third and final trade I'm looking to make is a bit of a big one, probably the biggest one we're making. It's moving Julien Gauthier, Tony DeAngelo, Mark Stahl, Matt Bolesky, and a 2nd round pick that we got from the Minnesota Wild in the Zuccarello trade to the Calgary Flames for captain Mark Giordano and forward prospect Andrew Mangiapane. Now, Giordano is everything we're looking for. He's a top 2 defender, still has that exact elite potential, 89 overall, and his individual attributes are pretty damn good. We're asking them to retain $1.475 million over the next 3 years of his contract, which might be a bit of a tipping point. They might not be willing to accept that much cap retention, but I'm hoping we can get it done just to give us that bit of wiggle room in the future. And then Mangiapane is listed as a 3rd-line scoring forward, 79 overall. I think he would really make an impact. This is before he really blew up for the Flames anyways, but he currently has pretty decent individual attributes. He can shoot the puck, he's got good offensive awareness, he can slide into that bottom 6 anywhere, and I personally love it. So he is listed as a 2nd-line forward for our team, so that's pretty good. We're going to see if this goes through. They might not accept that cap retention, but I hope they do. So Gauthier, DeAngelo, Stahl, Bolesky, and a 2nd for Giordano and Mangiapane. Does this go through? It's not. They're not willing to retain that much salary. So you know what? I don't mind moving on for more prospects. It's Julien Gauthier, Tony DeAngelo, Mark Stahl, Nils Lundqvist, who ended up getting flipped to the Dallas Stars, I believe, the next season, plus a 2nd round pick that we got in the Minnesota Wild trade we made earlier to the Calgary Flames for Mark Giordano and Andrew Mangiapane. I think this will definitely go through. Let's see. Does it go through? It does. Okay, and there's not too much to deliberate about on this deal. I think the Calgary Flames will think we came out ahead here. That's fine by me. That's fine by me. If you think you won, you can take it, but we just got a top pairing defender, and our team is looking better. So let me get the line set up, and then we will get into some simming with this new look New York Rangers team. All right, and your 2019-2020 New York Rangers are looking a lot stronger. We got Kreider, Zibanejad, Hartman on that top line with a +3 line chemistry. We have Panarin, Kopp, and Zuccarello on the 2nd line with another +3 line chemistry. On the 3rd line, it's Mangiapane with Strome and Buchnevich, and on the 4th line, it is Kakko with Lowry and Fast. And I don't mind moving Kakko up in replacement of Mangiapane, but as you can see, the reason I did it was because it's a -1 if Mangiapane's on that 4th line. And again, I don't mind that. I would like to get Kakko more ice time if I can, and then we can do something like this where Buchnevich and Kakko are on their proper wings. But for now, I think, no, you know what, for now we are going to start Kakko on the 3rd line. So it'll be Buchnevich, Strome, Kakko on the 3rd, and then Mangiapane with Lowry and Fast on the 4th. And if that doesn't work, then Mangiapane gets a boost. But I think that forward core is a lot better. As I said in the first video, I didn't want to add like an 87, 88, 89 forward to the top 6 because I didn't think we needed to. I think Zuccarello and Hartman are great additions. If they don't pan out, then we'll have to look at the trade market again. But I think this is a great start for us. Defensively, it's also looking pretty good. We have Sealer, Fox, Giordano, and Trouba on the 2nd pair, and then Phaneuf, McQuaid on that 3rd pair. And honestly, I am a little concerned about Sealer drawing in to the top 4. I mean, I can't put Phaneuf there, and I could put McQuaid there, but he's a righty, and I want to keep him on that 3rd pair. I mean, it's looking better than it was before. It's definitely looking better than it was before. but there's definitely still moves to be made. Now, as I said, I've made my 3 trades, I've made my 3 free agent signings. We're done for now. At the trade deadline, I will add another 2 or 3 trades that I can make to bolster this team and get them over the hump. But I think for now, that's where we're going to stand. And it's pretty obvious it will be Lundqvist and Georgiev in net for us, and Lundqvist is going to get the majority of the starts because he needs to. But here we are at the home opener for the 2019-2020 NHL season, and it's looking like a great day. We're at Madison Square Garden. I will quickly say that I did make some coaching changes. I have found a coach with much better line chemistry, so I put him in. I mean, before it was just +1s was the highest we can get, but now we have +3s in the top 6 and a +3 with the Giordano and Trouba line. So it's looking a lot better, but if he doesn't pan out, I still have other coaches that I can resort to. I just kind of offered some of the best coaches some contracts to make sure they're on our team. But here we are, we're ready to go, and as is tradition, we slow sim the first and last games of each video, and in this video I do plan to get around 20 games of simming done. I feel like 20 games is a fair mark to see how this team's progressing. In the next video we'll jump to the trade deadline, but let's see. It all starts here, home opener against the Winnipeg Jets. How do we do in the first period? And it's a nice 1-0 lead, a power play goal by Artemi Panarin on Connor Hellebuyck. Shots are 12-7 for your New York Rangers right now, so very good start. Second period, and the Jets bounce back. Jack Roslovic followed by Patrick Laine and Dustin Byfuglien notch goals on the King, and it's not looking great, but I think we can. I think we can come around. I think we can come around. Third period, we don't come around. Mika Zibanejad gets us on the board with the second point of the night for Nathan Beaulieu, and Patrick Laine put it out of reach, making it 5-2 as the final. And that's unfortunate, but I still think we can bounce back. Obviously not in that game because it's over, but it's our first game of the season. We can still go on a good tear here. Let's go against the Ottawa Senators here. We're going to quick sim this game, second game of the season at the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, and it's a 5-2 win. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that, Adam Fox with 5 points in 2 games. You'll love to see it. All right, just jump through a quick 8-day break. Now we're here, game 3 against the Edmonton Oilers, who are doing pretty fair to start. Let's quick sim this one and see how we do. And it's a 5-4 shootout win. So it's a greasy win, but it is a win nonetheless. And we have some pretty big gaps between games, but we do have a back-to-back coming up here against the Devils and the Caps, and I really want to get as many points against divisional rivals as we possibly can. So let's see, against the Devils, first half of the back-to-back, and it is a 6-1 loss. Not very good. Second half of the back-to-back against the Capitals. How do we fare? Do we pick up a win here? And it's a 9-1 loss. Oh my lord. Okay. All right, I made some minor changes to the bottom 6. It's not looking great. I mean, that third pair on defense has been shelled, and that third line was miserable to start. But let's see if we can bounce back here in game 6 against the Vancouver Canucks. I want to see some wins here. I don't want to go into a negative column this early in the season, because then we'll be chasing the wins all season. And even if we just barely squeak into the playoffs, it's still squeaking into the playoffs, but I want to have a better season. Honestly, I really want to have a good season against the Vancouver Canucks, game 6 of the season, and it's a 6-4 loss, and that's not looking good at all. If we lose this one against the Coyotes, I'll make some more changes. But let's see, game 7 against the Arizona Coyotes, and it's a 3-1 loss. That's 4 in a row. I have to make some changes. All right, and I did make some line changes. We have some nasty minuses, and I will say again and again that EA Sports NHL is the only time that you should take plus minus as a decent ability to track a player's defensive capabilities, because in real life it doesn't really matter. There's many different metrics you can judge by, but in this one it's all we really have. Anyways, I have made some line changes. It's Kreider's advantage at Hartman, Panarin, Kopp, Strome, Buchnevich, Lowry, and Zuccarello, with Mangiapane, Fast, and Kakko on that fourth line. And I did also make a coaching change. As you can see, with the chemistries are a little lower. I put back the original coach. He has a bit of a physical lineup management style, so hopefully that'll help, especially with Lowry, Kopp, and Kreider being big, powerful forwards for us. Defensively, you're going to see a little bit of a hack here. We have Sealer and Fox on the top pair, Giordano and Trouba on the second pair, and then Lindgren and Fox on the third pair, because Dion Phaneuf was getting shelled and Adam McQuaid wasn't doing much better, so I decided to replace Adam McQuaid in his 5v5 minutes with Adam Fox. So it will be Fox double shifting, and that's all we're going to do now. I'm not going to double shift Giordano because I just don't know if that'll be worth it. But for now, we're going to double shift Fox. And unfortunately, the King has been a bit rough to start so far, with 2 wins through 7 games and an .869 save percentage and a 407 goals against average. Hopefully he can bounce back. Hopefully we can get some more stable Goaltending here, I don't know if it's all his fault though. He is probably facing a lot of high quality shots, but here we go against the Buffalo Sabres, a state rival for us in game 8 of the season. How do these new lines fare? It's another loss. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's keep going against the Boston Bruins. We got to get some wins here. Game 9 of the season. If we don't win here, I don't know what to do. And we win 4-3. Okay, that's a good sign. Let's keep it going. Keep the status quo against the Tampa Bay Lightning here. If we lose this one, maybe I'll make some more line changes, but I think the team just has to dig itself out of this rut in game 10, and it's a 4-3 shootout win. Okay, we're still allowing a lot of goals and a lot of shots on net, but we're starting to climb back into it. We're going into game 11 here against the Nashville Predators. I'm looking for another win here to keep things going. Let's see, can we pull it off? No, I'm not making any more trades. And it's a 4-1 loss. That's not great. That's not great. We are struggling a bit here. Let's go against the Ottawa Senators, game 12 of the season, and it's a 5-3 win. Okay, that's fairly good. We're going to go to 25 games in this episode just to try and get a good sim done. Maybe 30 games actually, because we'll do 30 games this episode, 30 games the next episode. That'll bring us right up to the trade deadline. But we're going up against a weak Detroit Red Wings team, and before we jump into this game, I want to take a look at how the rosters are doing. I mean, we only have 1 year to do this, and we're about a fifth of the way through the season. I can't do the math right now, but we're already a good chunk into the season for just 1 year, so I want to make sure that we take our time and do this properly. Now, Kreider has 9 points in 12 games and a -5, so that's good production, but I'm nervous about the minuses. Zibanejad with 8 points in 12 games is pretty decent, and Hartman with 6 points in 12 games is pretty fair for a third-line scoring forward playing above average minutes. On the second line, Panarin has 12 points in 12 games and a -4, so again, another minus, but it is what it is. Kopp has 4 points in 12 games and 19 penalty minutes with a -4, so he's doing okay, maybe not second line center material though. Ryan Strome rounds out that top 6 with 8 points in 12 games and a -6. So again, we're having nasty minuses. We're obviously allowing a lot of shots on net, and that's not great. Buchnevich has 6 points in 12 games with a -6. Lowry has 4 points in 12 games with a -4, and Zuccarello has 7 points in 12 games with a -9. So he's so far the worst I think we've seen in the forward core. Mangiapane with no points in 12 games and a -9 is pretty abysmal. Foss with 2 points in 12 games and a -8 is also pretty bad. And then Kakko with 2 points in 12 games and a -9 is not good. So we are allowing a lot of goals, just a lot of goals. I might have to make some more line changes here. Defensively, Sealer's doing okay with 1 point through 12 games and a +2. Fox is a -1, but he's got 11 points in 12 games. Giordano is a -13. Holy crap. Yeah, we're not double shifting him. Him and Trouba are getting shelled. I'm not sure what to do here. We definitely have to make some line changes. And then Lindgren is a -2 through 5 games. I mean, that's not too bad. We're definitely going to switch up some things here. Maybe put Giordano and Fox together, or even Giordano and Trouba on that. No, Giordano and Fox on that third pair, because Giordano is struggling the most. I want him to get him. I want to get him more ice time because he is a top 2 defender, but he's not really warranting it. He's putting up points. That is the good thing. All right, and I did make some changes to the forward lines, and I think they're looking a bit better. And now a little more top heavy. It's Panarin, Zibanejad, Zuccarello on that top line, Kreider, Strome, Hartman on the second line, Buchnevich with Kopp and Kakko on the third line, and then Mangiapane with Lowry and Fast on that fourth line. I wanted to kind of spread out the defensive ability. Kakko has been really struggling, so hopefully Kopp can help him. And then Mangiapane and Fast have been struggling. Fast is normally a defensive forward, but hopefully him and Lowry can really put something together for that fourth line. And I'm hoping that Zibanejad, Zuccarello, and Panarin really pull it together. I'm hoping this top 6 does a good job scoring, and the bottom 6 does a good job complementing and playing defensively. That's what I want. Defensively, I have just switched up Lindgren and Fox, Sealer and Trouba, and then Giordano and Fox again on that third pair. If Giordano starts struggling with his minutes, then maybe we'll bump him up to that top pair, but I'm nervous about that because of his plus-minus. But I'm ready to jump back into some more games here. First game against the Detroit Red Wings, first half of a back-to-back, game 13 of the season. How do we fare in a quick sim game? Okay, I don't care about the rookies because we don't really have draft picks, and it's a 3-2 win. That's a much better win. Let's see if we can even out our record here. Second half of a back-to-back against the Carolina Hurricanes. I believe Georgiev's going to be in net, and it's a 3-0 win. Oh, you love to see that. You'd love to see that. Let's keep this ball rolling here against the Florida Panthers, game 15 of the season. How do we fare? Do we pull out another win? We do. A nice 6-4 win. I don't like the amount of goals we allowed, but I like the amount of goals we scored. And officially, we jump into the 4th spot in our division, just 4 points behind the Penguins for a divisional lock for the playoffs. So we got to keep up the competition, and we are actually facing none other than the Pittsburgh Penguins here. So a nice win would be good to add to the column. I mean, we do have 2 games in hand currently over them, but let's see. Against the Pittsburgh Penguins, game 16 of the season. Gonna quick sim this one, and it's a 4-1 win. Oh, we're on a nice tidy streak right now. I'm loving this. Against the Tampa Bay Lightning, how do we fare in game 17 of the season? It's a 5-1 loss. Okay, so that's not that great. I want to string together more wins. We had a good streak going there. Let's see if we can get back on track against the Florida Panthers. We beat them just a few games ago. Can we beat them again for our 10th win of the season in game 18? We do. A nice 3-2 win. You love to see it. So now we do just sit 2 points back of the Capitals for that top wildcard spot in our division, and we have 5 games in hand over them, so that's a really good sign. We actually have the least amount of games played in our division. That helps us a lot. Let's go through the next 2 games, then we'll take another reevaluation of how our team is doing. But against the Washington Capitals here, game 19 of the season, and it's a 4-2 win. You'll love to see that. Jumps us over the Capitals and into that wildcard spot, and we're only 4 points back of the Penguins for top of the division. Look at how we turned our season around. Hopefully we can keep the ball rolling. We're 8-2-0 in our last 10, so that's a good sign. Against the Ottawa Senators here, first half of back-to-back. Again, we're only going to sim this game, and then we're going to jump and take a look at how the team's doing. But against the Senators here, game 20 of the season, can we pull out another win? We don't. It's a 5-3 loss. We do maintain our position in the wildcard spot, but just for now. So we're going to take a look at how everyone's doing, but I'm going to be adamant I'm not making any line changes. The team was firing on all cylinders for this last little bit, so I want to keep it together as it was. But let's see. Panarin now has 21 points in 20 games. I'm not really concerned with the minuses anymore. I feel like they're just going to be there. Zibanejad has 18 points in 20 games. Very good. And then Zuccarello has 15 points in 20 games. He is still a -9. That is a little concerning. I know I said I wasn't going to pay attention, but that one's a bit of a higher number. On the second line, Kreider is doing fairly well with 17 points in 20 games and a +1. Strome with 17 points as well is very good. And then Hartman with 12 points in 20 games. Very good little cheap addition for us. Buchnevich has 10 points in 20 games. I want to get him more scoring. I'm just not too sure how to. Kopp with 5 points in 20 games is pretty rough. He is a -7 too, so maybe he finds himself demoted. And then 5 points in 20 games for Kakko. I want to try and give him more ice time, but if he's hurting our team, then he's hurting our team. On the fourth line, we do have Andrew Mangiapane with 2 points in 20 games, which is not great. Adam Lowry with 5 points in 20 games. That's not too bad. And then Jesper Faust with 4 points in 20 games and a -11. So it doesn't look like Lowry has helped out too much on that fourth line. But again, I said I wasn't going to make any line changes because the team's firing. So we're going to keep it like this for at least the next 5 games. If the team starts to continue struggling, then we'll make some line changes. Defensively, Lindgren has no points through 13 games, but he's also an even +/-, so that's pretty fair. Fox has 13 points in 20 games, so he's lowered down a bit. He's not really on pace for a point per game season as he was to start, but you don't usually expect your defenseman to do that. Sealer has 3 points in 20 games and is a +3, so that's very good. And then Trouba is a -11 through 20 games with 2 assists, so something's wrong there. And then Giordano, he has 15 points in 20 games. You love to see that. The -12, you don't love to see. That's not great. And he is starting to lose morale due to ice time, so maybe I have to make a change back here. Maybe we put him up on that top pair with Adam Fox again and see if he gets a little happier there, if maybe the two of them do better. But that is the only line change I'm going to make. And again, if I see struggling right off the bat, then we're going to go back to the way the lines were before. I just have to see if this works. But here we are, second half of the back-to-back now against the Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center. And quick plug, if you're not watching the Montreal Canadiens series on my channel, what are you doing? That series is going to be coming to an end soon. We have 3 years left. We're already halfway through the first year, if I'm not mistaken, of the last 3. So go and check it out. Go get caught up. It's fun. But let's go against the Montreal Canadiens, game 21 of the season. How do we fare? It's a 5-4 loss. Oh, I don't like to see that. Let's keep it going here. Hopefully we can get this ship righted out against the Minnesota Wild, who are struggling so far in this season, and it's a 5-0 loss. So yeah, Giordano's back off that top pair. All right, and that's the only change I made. I just put Giordano back on the third pair with Adam Fox again. Let's see how we do against the Carolina Hurricanes here, game 23 of the season. No, I don't want to acquire Jimmy Hayes. May rest in peace. And that's a 3-0 shutout. So we actually have not scored a goal in 2 straight games. That's a little concerning. We've actually fallen out of a playoff spot too. Oh, that's not good. I mean, it's very tight. We're only 7 points behind the second place team and 6 points behind the third place team, but I'm not liking the flakiness of this roster. All right, so I did a quick line switch. We have put Jesper Fast on that top line with Zibanejad and Panarin, and we have Zuccarello on the third line with Kopp and Buchnevich. And I'm not sure if that's going to be any better, but Zuccarello is hemorrhaging plus minus. He is a minus 13 now. Panarin's a minus 10. It's not looking too good. We're going to hope that this evens the ship out a bit. So let's go game 24 of the season. First half of a back-to-back against the Bruins and the Devils. Can we pick up a win here against the Boston Bruins? We do, and it's a big one, a 9-0 win. Holy crow. Okay, against a divisional opponent here in the New Jersey Devils, second half of a back-to-back. We are pretty safe with the Devils. They're 2 points behind us right now, but let's see if we can pick up a win here and keep the momentum rolling. And it's a 4-2 win. Okay, very good. The small lineup changes we made have been working. Let's go against the Vegas Golden Knights, game 26 of the season, and it's another win, a 4-3 win. You love to see that. We're starting to roll. We're back in a wild card spot here, 3 points out of the third place in the division, up against the Columbus Blue Jackets here. So another divisional opponent that we gotta get a win over. I mean, they're worst in the division and almost worst in the league, so I'm not too concerned about them, but I still want to get wins against divisional opponents anytime I can. So first half of the back-to-back at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. How do we fare? I don't care about the draft class rankings. It's a 4-0 win. Okay, folks, we're doing good against the Montreal Canadiens. Second half of the back-to-back here. Can we pick up yet another win? And we do a 4-1 win. Okay, 2 games left to do in this video. I will slow sim the game against the LA Kings, but this team is doing well. We are doing very well. We are now tied. No, we're sorry, 1 point back of the Penguins for third place in the division with 2 games in hand over all top 3 divisional teams. That is a great sign. Let's keep going against the Vegas Golden Knights here. Can we get another win, get our 17th win of the season? And we do. It's a 5-2 win. Very good. We're going to the last game here at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. We are on our Western road trip, our California road trip right now, so it's going to be a bit grueling, but let's see how we do as we slow sim this final game of the video. So I'm looking for another big win here. We currently sit third in our division, and I want to keep climbing up. Let's go first period. And it's a good first period. Mika Zibanejad opens the scoring for the Rangers. Nikolai Prokhorkin gets a goal for the Kings before Zibanejad double dips just before the period goes out, making it 2-1 for your New York Rangers heading into the second period. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this momentum going. Second period. Okay, Buchnevich gets a power play goal, followed by another power play goal by Artemi Panarin, followed by another goal by Andrew Mangiapane, making it 5-1 before the Kings start to fire back with goals by Trevor Lewis and Jeff Carter. Let's see, can we keep the door closed and add to the lead possibly in the third period? Well, we don't keep the door closed, but we do add to the lead. Adam Lowry makes it 6-3. Tim Schaller does get the Kings on the board in the third, but it's not enough. And they drop this one 6-4. We walk out with another win, and I'm loving the way that this video is coming to an end. We lost the first game of the season, but we bounced back, and we have won quite a considerable amount of games lately. We go on a little bit of slow streaks and cold streaks, but I want this team to even out the ship. So now we're going to take one more look at how the team's doing, and honestly, it's looking good when you look at it this way. Panarin with 34 points in 30 games, Zibanejad with 28 and 30, Kreider with 26 and 30, including 13 goals. That's pretty damn good. Zuccarello with 26 and 30, he's really picked it up. Strome with 24 and 30, very good. Buchnevich with 20 and 30, Hartman with 20 and 30. He's not putting up goals, but he's slinging the puck left, right, and center. Lowry with 11 and 30, Kakko with 11 and 30 is a little concerning, especially that minus category. Mangiapane's been getting it going lately with 9 points in 30 games. Same with Jesper Fast, he's been doing pretty good on that top line. Kopp with 7 points in 30 games rounds out the forwards, and honestly, I'm pretty happy. I mean, I wish Kopp was doing a little better. Same with Mangiapane, but they're both on the fourth line now, so I mean, we're getting good production out of Hartman and Zuccarello, and that's what I was really hoping for. Defensively, Giordano leads the scoring for D-men with 20 points through 30 games and a -8, so he's definitely coming around. He was a -16 last time I checked, so he's done good. Fox with 17 points in 30 games, he's logging a lot of minutes, and he's a plus, so that's really good news. And then Trouba with 7 points in 30 games and a -6, so I want him to get more points. I'd really like that, but you know what? I'm not too fussed with how the team's doing. Sealer with 4 points in 20 games, or 4 points in 30 games. Lindgren with 2 points in 23 games. And then you can see here, Phaneuf and McQuaid. Even though McQuaid has played the full 30 games, he's a -8 because that's where he was when he left off. I think he's only getting 3 minutes and 10 seconds a night roughly. So he's not averaging a lot of minutes so far this season. And that's just because we need Fox. Fox has been a standout defenseman for us. And then in net, the King has right his ship. He has steered it in the right direction now. 15 wins through 28 games played, 2 shutouts, and a .901 save percentage with a .310 goals against average. That's pretty good considering we're on a high scoring. Let me know in the comments if you want me to lower it down to medium scoring just so we get a better season for the King, but I think this is pretty good. I'm liking the way this is looking so far. All in all, our team is doing pretty good now. We're on a good pace to hopefully be a divisional contender for the top of this division. We're only 3 points back of the Hurricanes currently with a game in hand. Hell, we could even run for the President's Trophy if we keep up the streak. But when you look at teams like the Avalanche, the Bruins, and the Oilers, that looks a lot more out of reach than it could be. Hell, even the Coyotes have 44 points so far on the season. Canucks with 46. A little crazy how teams are doing. I mean, it's surprising that we even have a playoff spot, but that's just how the playoff structure is set up. But thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been a pretty productive episode for us. As I said, in the next one, we will go through the next 30 games up to the trade deadline, where we will make our next 3 trades for this team. But I'm really happy with the progress we made in this one. I'm glad that this team is now on the right course, and it's looking good for the King. It's looking good for the King. We brought his best friend back. We've strengthened this team. I definitely want to add another top 4 defender so that we get Sealer and Lindgren out of that top 4. But I'm still happy with how it's going. I'm happy with how this team is producing. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. It only lets me know what type of content you want to see more of. If you really like it, then as I said, consider subscribing. You can do it on a 30-day trial basis. If you don't like it after 30 days, you can unsubscribe free of charge. I mean, it's free either way, but for me, it's just an easy way to say it. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.